All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another podcast episode. I'm here with Vibe. What is your God-given name?
On my birth certificate, it says Vibe. The real name is Dan Sherlong. I got shit for my last name all my life, and I think probably the most weird occurrence I've ever had was when I was like 12 years old, 11 or 12. And we had a substitute teacher in class, and then she was doing roll call attendance, and she was like, Daniel Sherlong, and I was like, here, and she goes, I bet it sure is long. And I was like, what the hell? Holy crap. I'm 12.
Did that joke even register with you at that age?
No, I totally did. I was a dirty guy.
Okay. All right. So, besides that seeming like an emotional scar on your life, so did you go to college?
I did not. I graduated high school, and then I straight up right out of that went into working. I worked at PF Chang's actually for like 7 years. I don't know. I worked there for a long time. I worked like 4 years full time and like 3 years part time. And then I kind of just went into gaming out of it. I transitioned from working into gaming and doing pro gaming and stuff.
Okay, yeah. So you worked at PF Chang's for 7 years. So why did you choose not to go to college? Like, what was your aspiration of like, it just didn't suit you as a person, or why didn't you choose to do that?
At first I was like, I don't want to go because I'm going to waste my money and I don't know what I want to do. And it's just going to be a waste of my time. So I gave myself like a year to like figure my stuff out and be like, all right, I'm just going to think about what I want before I commit. And then at the same time, I was also like, each day, my day-to-day lifestyle was like I would wake up, go to work, come home, and I would play Dota or I would play World of Warcraft like all night. With like I had a group of like 10 friends that we would like every day we would all commit to this. So it's like I would just like work for 8 hours, come home, like just game for 8 hours, and then sleep the rest of the day. And then I kind of like fell into that deeper and deeper, and I just didn't want to go to school. And I was like, no, you know what? I'm kind of liking this lifestyle. I'm gonna do another year and another year. And then I just eventually developed the mindset that I just wanted to go, like I really wanted to commit to it and just, go pro at it basically.
Okay. So when did you start playing StarCraft?
I played so many RTSs in my entire life, but StarCraft 2, I played day one of the beta. I literally bought the beta and played it.
Did you play Brood War or any of those things?
I did. Yeah. I played Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3, StarCraft 1 original. I even played original beta of StarCraft 1.
Oh,
and
wow.
I played Brood War as well. And the reason why I did all these is because my brother, I have one brother who's older than me, and he literally got me into all of them. He's like, I got the beta for StarCraft, check it out. And it was actually really fun, dude. I was like super hooked.
You're working a job, and so are you training to become a pro gamer at the same time, or how are you doing this?
I was just okay, so the way it kind of went was I've been a gamer, like a hardcore gamer. A lot of my free time has been spent in playing video games, like my whole life. And I've always been one of the best, if not the best, one out of my friends, like in real life while I was going to school and stuff. So I've always thought I was pretty good. And then I realized as I started like getting deeper and deeper into like, not just playing for fun, but playing like try hard, like with a team and like in games like WoW Arena or Dota, it was actually Heroes and Earth at the time. A lot of the people that I would play with actually started getting sponsored because I would bounce around games so much. I played a ton of games. And then I was like, oh, well, you got sponsored and I used to be just as good as you. And now I'm kind of wishing like I would have stayed and got sponsored too, because that sounds really fun. So StarCraft 2 was the first game I really committed to do that.
Okay, yeah. And so tell everyone kind of that path of like you becoming a pro gamer. So you started playing StarCraft 2. How long did you work at that while still working at PF Chang's?
Yeah, I was part-time at that point. When StarCraft 2 first started for me, it was like, I think it was like February 6th. It was early February of 2010. That's the beta. That's right when it started. I was probably working only like 20 hours a week at PF Chang's. And I would there was a thing called hot schedules for that job that you could just have like online scheduling. And I would release every shift every week. I'd be like, someone's going to take it. It's fine. So some weeks I wouldn't even work at all. I'd be like, yeah, I got out of all of them this time.
That is not my job.
But,
so you were a very dedicated employee.
Yeah. Like people would actually get to the point to where I would show up for work one day because no one picked up my shift. And when I was there, like half the staff would be like, wait, you still work here? I haven't seen you in like 2 weeks, dude. I'm like, yeah, no one grabbed my shit. So I'm here, dude. Covering it up.
Okay, so alright, so clearly PF Chang's was not important to you. It was just a job. And then so how many hours a day were you like really going at like training yourself in StarCraft?
So as soon as this really started for me, I actually started streaming right away, and I didn't really know how to be a pro gamer at that point. I had no like practice regimen or anything like that. It was just play the game as much as possible. And the main thing I wanted to do was I've had a lot of previous RTS experience, like we just said earlier. So I knew how to like teach myself how to play the game, but I was trying to like get my brand out there as much as possible, being like, hey, I'm streaming and I'm, these are like top level games on the ladder if you guys want to see this. And then I started, doing, that was just my daily routine, was just play as much as I could and then try to teach myself how to be as good as I can, be open-minded, like just take shit from other players that are good and stuff like that. And try to get recognized, essentially, is what I was doing.
And so when you're doing this back then, where are you streaming this in 2010? Is it on Twitch?
No, it was on. So there was the very first thing I ever streamed on was called X File. It was I think it was called X File. It was a blue box, super basic like streaming application, and I don't even think there was chat with that, as far as I recall. Like people could just watch your screen essentially, and I tested it like a few times with that thing in World of Warcraft Arena. And because I was Gladiator and that, and a lot of my friends wanted to watch that, so I would have like 3 viewers, and it was all my friends. I would have like no actual viewers that I didn't know. Right. But then I switched over when StarCraft 2 came out. I found out about Justin TV really early. Like I was already streaming on Justin TV right away, and then that's just what I did. I just was there.
Okay. So your stream was it always named Vibe?
Yeah, it's always been Vibe LOL. I wanted to be Vibe, but some dude took it on Twitter and Twitch and never used it.
And back then? Oh my god.
Yeah, and I did LOL because at the time I was playing World of Warcraft, and LOL was a trend on the side of your name if someone stole your name. So I just put it on there.
Wow, so you're one of the original streamers from the Dark Ages.
Oh damn. Oh damn. Oh damn!
I am so original on Twitch that the guy who was giving partnerships out, it was one dude, his name was Kevin. I just said, hey, Kevin, can I be a partner? And he was like, yeah, you can. Here you go. It was so easy.
Yeah, see, there you go. A completely different story for most people who are trying to become Twitch partners, where they have to apply like 6 times and they get rejected. Yeah. And like what's that? Here you go.
Yeah, to be honest, the reason why it was so easy though for me to get partner is because since I was actually someone who was actively streaming, and I was also like a lot of the top players would recognize who I was because like, oh, I know that guy. I play against him all the time on ladder because he's at the high level as well. I got featured on Team Liquid, and if you were featured on Team Liquid, you had credentials basically, and you could get whatever you wanted.
All right, so you were featured with like Team Liquid. How did you get on Team Liquid?
So I basically just ran into all the existing pros of StarCraft 2 and a lot of the former pros from Brood War, and like a lot of the casters too. I would run into all these guys repeatedly, and that's why it's so good that I ended up buying the beta from the very beginning because it was very exclusive. And I was like, oh, it's day 9. Oh, it's Tasteless. Oh, I'm playing Artosis. Oh, I'm playing Idra now. I'm playing Machine. Like I played all these people everyone knows every single game repeatedly if you were at the top level because there was such a limited amount of people. So I like developed a name for myself by people being like, oh, this guy, he's, I have good games against this guy. He's not bad. He's good. And then I never was a dick either. I've always been a pretty nice person. So I'm not like, you fucking suck. And they're like, oh, I hate that guy. So people liked me as well. So it was easy because I always ran into the same guys every day. And, I would even like sometimes talk to them and be like, oh, you played really well last game or, something like that.
So when you were on a team, it wasn't like what it is today, right? Where you're in a house with people, you were just doing your own thing.
Yeah. So I would say nowadays it's really common for there to be like a team house and everyone lives together and trains together. But back in my day, it's all online. It's just like online meetups, basically. Like, hey, you want to at 4 p.m. tomorrow? You want to practice or something like that? And we would have like a Skype channel where everyone would just type whenever they were there and read it when they got back or something.
Wow. Yeah, that's completely different than it is today. It's like
Yeah.
never in my wildest dreams would I think that people are making $1 million like playing StarCraft. Like
Yeah.
back then, what? How much were tournaments back then? Like $200.
Yeah, no, it was way lower. Like if you made like $5,000 in a year, you had a good year. You're like, yeah, I made a lot. Like I'll tell you, here's a thing to put it in perspective. In 2010, I was contacted by a few teams, and I was like, what are these guys offering? Like, I'm actually becoming a desired player to have on a pro team. The best offer I had in the first like 6 months of the game being out was it was a guy who was like, hey Vibe, so we're willing to pay you a salary. And I was like, okay, most of the teams don't even offer that, so that sounds like a good start. And then he's like, all right, so we crunched the numbers and we are willing to offer you $15 a month. I was like, oh baby, my time is actually, I think this is why I'm playing this game. I'm making something. And then he's like, and then he was like telling me later on the conversation after he gave me this deal, he's like, yeah, I'll get back to you tomorrow. I got to go back to school again. And I was like, oh, you're going to college? He's like, no, I'm going to high school. I was like, oh God, dude, I'm like 25. And my manager is like 16.
Yeah, that's crazy. So how far did you make it in when you were playing on a pro team? Like when you would go to like any of these competitions?
So in 2010, I didn't really get fully picked up in terms of like covered to go to events until the end of the year. So I only went to 2 events in 2010, and I did all right. Like I got like, I still made it to like top 32, top 24. Like I did like better than the pack, but I still got knocked out early. When you think of like who's going to go far. So that my year was like, I didn't really break out in 2010, but in 2011, I qualified for like 4 different things. I qualified for NASL. I qualified for MLG qualifier things where you get to like, you play in these like special events. I qualified for IEM. I qualified in many different tournament organizations, and I did really well. But when I went to like the offline portion, like the LAN portion of it, it was not as good. Like I would once again, I was like, oh, I'm getting a top 16 or something. I would like just be out of like the prize pool, and then I would get knocked out. So that was 2011. It was like growing pains. But 2012, that was my breakout year, dude. I won like 3 tournaments in 2012, and one of them was huge. One of them was WCS.
Yeah.
And then right after that, I got second place in WCS North America again against Scarlett. Like both Scarlett and I, it was a cool storyline because she was the one who won Canada and I won United States. And we both undefeated went through our entire bracket and met in the grand finals. And then she beat me. She's insanely good. But like being able to do that back to back right after WCS America, then going into North America and doing it again, that was super good.
That's incredible vibe. That really is.
It was cool, man. And then after that, I would always, after that, for the next like 2 years, I managed to have things like I was in Premier League every single time, or like Code S essentially for North America for every season of WCS. And then every time I was in a side tournament, like IEM or something like that, I would do relatively well. I would actually make prize pool, but I never won an actual major again after that. I would just do like top 16s, top 8s.
Wow. So you had a brush with godlike status.
Yeah, it was, dude. Just like the moment I was like, okay, I'm kind of blowing up right now. This feels really good. Was as soon as I got second place in North America, I got private messaged by Total Biscuit on Skype, and he's like, "Hey, man, so I've been casting some of your events, and some people have been saying that when you won WCS America, it was kind of a fluke because no one expected you to win." But
what?
He's like, but I honestly, when I saw you play, I believed. I thought you were good, and it's awesome that you managed to make it all the way to the finals again in North America. Great job, keep it up. I was like, holy shit, that feels really good. Like just having someone like that message me and say that to me it felt awesome. It was cool.
Hot damn!
Just like the scene of how it mostly was it was a lot of Brood War ex pros. I had switched over to StarCraft 2 now, and I was not one of those. So there was like a level of respect where they're like, this guy's not from Brood War. He's probably not going to be as good as us. Like you have to like establish yourself. Because Scarlett had the same thing where, at first, like no one knew who she was, and then she was kicking the shit out of the Muslim and IPL, and everyone's like, "What the fuck is this? Like, what is happening?" But You just have to like establish yourself, and once you win something, then people are like, okay, this guy's really good.
Yeah, but the fact that people were so audacity to be like, you won because of a fluke. I mean, that's just like.
Well, my bracket had Idra in it, and everybody was like, Idra's gonna win this. Idra won. Idra wins. Idra's gonna win. And since I knocked him out, everyone's like, what the hell? Oh my god. Felt really good.
I bet, dude. That's an incredible story. So, are you still part of like Team Liquid?
No, well, I was never actually on Team Liquid. I was just featured on the forum, like the website, and that was like the hub for streaming back then. Because yeah, like if you were someone on Team Liquid that was featured, immediately you got like plus 500 viewers. That's just how it worked.
Yeah.
And then and
so for all you young kids out there, this is all we had. This is all we had. It was a page just thrown together.
At any point in time, there were like 10 streamers that were the featured list, which means you didn't have to click an extra button to be like show more and sift through a list. It was just there on the page. If you were there, you made it.
Yeah. That was the best part. It was just like, I wonder about this person. It's just like block of information. It was like, so we're not going to organize this at all. Nope. You just got to read through it all. It's just one page. Yeah. So when did you start to like walk away from all this stuff and just like straight up just go into streaming?
2014 was like my transition year, and it was like the end of 2013, start of 2014. And the reason why I kind of got frustrated is because it's the whole like region locking thing. There was no limitations to how many Koreans could play in North American WCW. And I am not even kidding. There were like 2 seasons where I was one of 6 Americans in a 32 player tournament. It was like 24, 25 Koreans and like 1 or 2 Europeans. I was like, oh my, like every time I get a group stage, like it's like I qualified for WCS Code S again. And it's like, all right, your group is Jaedong, STC, and Oz or something like that. I'm like, okay, yeah, there we go. I got to play in GSL to get through the round of 32.
So you played against Jaedong?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I've played against I've played against tons. Like if you could pretty much name anyone who was in StarCraft, in Wings of Liberty to Heart of the Swarm, and I guarantee I played them once in a tournament. Wow. I have about like 2,000 tournament matches under my belt. I have a ton.
Yeah, no, because like Jaedong, for those of you guys who are obviously younger watching this, Jaedong was the shit in StarCraft 1. Yeah. And a lot of the people that were the best at StarCraft 1, for whatever reason, StarCraft 2, not that they weren't good, the mechanics were different. So, wow. All right, so you quit that. You go into stream. Did you find that like hitting that fame and then coming into stream, like that kind of like helped you out in terms of having like viewers and people that like knew who you were?
Yeah, like I would still stream even when I was starting. Like I was always trying to advertise myself whenever I had free time. So I would just be an inconsistent streamer, but I was still streaming all the way from 2010 to like 2015. And 2015 was my transition year where I didn't know what I wanted to do, but then I finally chose, okay, I'm going to be a full-time streamer. So when I just said, okay, full-time streamer, that's my new occupation, that's what I'm doing, I would have like 300 plus viewers consistent, like no matter what, when I would stream. Mm-hmm. So it was a nice start for that. And then if I wanted to like really start to like grow it up. And when I started streaming, I only had like, when I started really full-time streaming, I only had 27 subs. I remember because it would go up and down, and I was like, oh, I almost broke 30 today. Sick. Like in total. I was like, damn, I might make almost $100 this month.
Yeah, but when you started streaming, I mean, Twitch didn't have as many imports as it has now, and makes it so accessible for people to like sub.
That's like, you have no idea how many times I've talked to people that grew their brand when I grew my brand. Like, for instance, I'll just give you an example. A guy named Drewby. Like, we would talk about, like, oh man, if there was sub buttons and stuff back when we were both like full time in it, and like we were both like fully committed to like pro tournaments, repeatedly streaming whenever we had our time, like you would actually get like thousands of viewers on just, if you were like someone big, you would easily get like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 viewers. And you can imagine how many subs and stuff could happen then if that existed. Mm-hmm. So it's like we were like the Titans of Twitch when Twitch was not what it is now, which is like a massive supporting platform.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, it's grown a lot just in the last like 3 years. So yeah, in comparison to what it used to be, which just felt like, did you guys even try? Well, the
It wa-
technology wasn't there, you know. It's like
Yeah.
technology shifts all the time.
Yeah.
All right, so 2014, so now we're in 2019. So like 5 years, you've just been consistently streaming. I think one of the best things that you've done for yourself is obviously like bronze to GM. And the reason I also wanted to have you on is because I don't really think that there's any Twitch streamer out there that's first of all been streaming as long as you have. Second of all, like has the accolades for a game that everyone finds extremely difficult, which of course is StarCraft. And third, like, you know, I guess why do you just keep going? I mean, other than the fact like yeah, it's like money and a job, but like you've literally done everything. Like from A to Z. You've gone from pro to doing this. And so like why do you continue to like stream StarCraft and that's like your main craft? I mean, I know you play other things, but obviously for whatever reason in Twitch, people like to come to the same streamer that plays the same game, that does the same thing, which I find kind of monotonous because it's like there's so many great games. Like how do you just say I'm just want to watch StarCraft 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? It's like, come on, seriously, any variety in your life? So like why do you just keep going?
For me, I feel like I found like my passion to really become a content creator in the sense that I compared it to when I used to have to work for a manager and I would always have to do whatever they would like me to do. Like, oh, we need you to do this, go do that. We need you to do this now, go do this. But when I'm streaming, I'm my own manager, I'm my own boss, my own everything. So if I go, you know what, I want to work harder and I want to put in more time and I want to try a lot, like, you know, to make everything as good as I can, I reap all the benefits for that. No one else does. And then it's like a very rewarding feeling. I don't know. It just, I feel like I have an opportunity to do something great with my time. And I definitely am trying to capitalize on it by being very active with it. And then, I just love, like, the thing is too, is not everyone thinks like this, but if I was not streaming, I would still be playing games as much as I do. Like I love games. Like I just love doing it. So it's like I either have a camera and a chat and a microphone, or I just have my friends on Discord and I'm playing games. It's one or the other.
So you might as well just stream what you're going to do anyways.
Yeah,
that's what
I'm
you're
going to do
saying.
it either way. Seriously, 100%.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you think like helps people? Because your channel will fluctuate. I mean, when you did bronze to GM, like easily had 1,000 people subscribe, if not watch you go from A to Z. So like a lot of people that like start out on Twitch, they struggle to like grow a community and even get subscribers. So like what are some of the things that you would like recommend to someone that was like just starting out, and what are like the pitfalls of what people think?
I think that a lot of people they don't know where to start, and I think they just kind of ponder, or not. What am I trying to say? They flounder. There you go. They kind of like flounder around, being like, I don't want to do. I don't do this. Do I want to do that? I don't know. Should I do this? Let me talk to this guy, see what he thinks. Maybe I should do that. I think a lot of the experience of being successful comes from just doing it. Like you can still talk to people, but just don't think about it too much. Just get in there and just like start investing your time into doing it, because you'll learn so much more from experience than asking 1,000 questions before you start doing it, telling yourself, oh, I'm not ready yet, I'll do it later. Oh, I'm not ready yet, I'll do it later. It's like the exact same thing when I talk to people about, like, it correlates really well to when I teach people how to play StarCraft with like coaching and stuff like that. Sometimes I'll talk to someone that's like, so how do I do this and this and this? They get really specific in certain examples. And then I'm like, how many games have you played? Oh, I haven't played yet. Like, what are you doing, man? Stop asking me these questions and just learn some shit first and then build on that. And then, you know, it's just like, you got to like get some experience under your belt to really like know what you're doing. But another one is, I feel like it's kind of, I feel like there's a lot of chance. I'm not going to lie. It will or it won't happen. I think it's something you can't force. And it depends on like your chances will increase or decrease depending on what you do. And like for me, from my experience was I I established connections with a lot of people that had a lot of power. And it's not even like I'm asking them to like you know, like invite me to stuff or do this for me or just do things for me. It's more the fact that other people that have a lot of just sway in the community, a lot of you know, presence, I would have interactions with them, and then they would remember them because I was in the right place, right time, and I had the skill set to be there. And they would talk about me, and I would talk about them. And it's just like you spread advertising just by talking about each other all the time. So even if I'm not even streaming, sometimes someone might say something as simple as, "Oh, this guy plays really heavy to this style. He's really greedy. You know who else is fucking greedy? Vibe. That guy is the greediest motherfucker ever." And it just be like people talk about you like that, you know. And it's just establishing connections with people as you go is probably the most efficient way to become successful at almost anything you do, I feel like.
Well, you being a pro, I think also like helped, and I think that's like one main driving point too. Is like
100%, yeah.
You can't really you should be good at whatever you choose to do on Twitch, but also make content around your skill set. And I think that's what you kind of nailed down ultimately, because I think the most powerful thing for someone like you is, of course, you know, bronze to GM. It's like, yeah, I was a pro gamer, like certified, and you don't really get that.
I have a lot of experience as well with I think the reason why bronze GM it appeals to so many people is not only because I have a lot of I have a very thorough skill set, and when it comes to talking about StarCraft, but I feel like I've been able to articulate it in a way over the years that is not just like, oh, I'm going to play the game and then talk about it after. I'll talk about it during the game. And it's because I've gone through phases where I've been hired to make learning videos for company. Like there was one called Hotkey It. That was the main one I did it for. They hired me as a content creator who would make instructional videos. So I did that. I actually did that a long time. That was back in like 2011, 2012. Okay. They're like, we need you to make instructional videos. You know what you're talking about. And then I've coached many people, and the longest running person I've ever coached was actually Livy B. And I spent countless hours just because we would talk about, you know, the game. There was growing pains where it's like, for instance, let's just give an example. There's a cannon rush, okay? She's playing a game, she's like expanding, and there's cannons going up. I'm like, all right, you need to move your drone perfectly like this. You need to block that cannon. And it's like, you know, as I'm saying it, the window of time for that to have happened has gone. Oh, what you gonna do? And there's like this situation that's falling apart rapidly. And I'm like, okay, well, now you got this to deal with this shit. Here's what you got to do. Okay, well, as I'm saying it, this situation got fucked up. Now you got to do this. It's like, oh my God, what do you do? Like, stop telling me what I should do. Just tell me. I'm like, I can't, because you keep missing the windows to do it. And then, because I'm like having to physically tell her what to do. And there was a lot of like, you know, moments where like I would learn a lot about myself, about teaching someone, about being like, okay, this actually works better if I say it like this. This works better if I do this. And then I got to a point where, you know, I really understood how, like what mainly worked for teaching people how to play and what didn't, and like cutting out useless information essentially to be like, okay, well, this is going to be irrelevant, so I'm just going to like wrap it up quick here and do this and stuff like that.
Yeah. And so you still teach other people?
Yeah.
To this day?
I coach. I'm still an active coach. I still advertise it on my stream, and I would say I coach probably 4 people a month on average, 4 sessions a month, and sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, but about 4 average. And I will also go through phases where people will buy replay analysis, which is like, it's like a mild form of coaching. Mm-hmm. But I'm basically always teaching people how to play the game every day.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but usually when I'm in your stream and I hear you talk about coaching, you're usually like, I'll do it. If someone wants me to.
So this is another thing. Okay, I'll explain why I'm not as eager to be like, yeah, I'd love it. Go email me. Let's talk about it. Because I used to be like that a long time ago, and then I would spend so much more time trying to convince people that I would coach them well than actually coaching them. And I'm just like, holy crap, this is the biggest waste of time. Like the one that like was like the final straw was I'm not even kidding, probably like 3 hours of just emails. Like it was like 15 emails, like of these elaborate questions. Like, so if this happens, how would you deal with this? And what would you do if this kind of situation was happening? Like, let's just say I wanted to get coaching, but I wanted to get specific micro instructions. How would you go about doing that? And what would you do? What would you say to make me a better player? And I'm like, okay, let's just talk to this guy and try and tell him what's going on. And I get literally like 3 hours of this. And then he's like, all right, maybe I'll message you in the future. And he never did. I was just like, okay, well, what a waste of time. Like, right. Why am I breaking my back trying to convince people for coaching?
Yeah, but did you? So you wouldn't do it live with them. They would just email you.
Yeah, it was all mostly emails. And then
That's where you made a mistake right
yeah,
there.
and then the next one, the other thing that made me realize I was being really naive was I never also forced people to pay before the lesson. And one dude, I
Oh,
coached him for an
vibe.
hour, and then he just never paid me. He's like, "All right, thanks, see ya." And I followed
Wow.
up with like a week, and I was like, "Hey, so just in case you're not sure how to do it, here's my PayPal. Just send me over the amount, and then we're good." And I was like, and then it didn't go. Nothing happened. And like 4 days later, I'm like, just following up, making sure you didn't miss it, just giving you a little help here. And he like just was fucking MIA at that point. Never even responded anymore.
Wow.
I was like, okay, well, I'm never doing that again. It's always pay first from now on. And that basically my mindset kind of changed to, if you want coaching, I have so much content already on YouTube. Go check it out. If you like it, let's coach. If not, you just watched my YouTube videos for free, which for me, like obviously I still get a little bit of something out of that anyways. So you're promoting my YouTube, which is great. But if you don't want to buy it, you can just watch it for free if that's what you want to do. That's kind of how my
Right.
mindset.
Yeah, no, yeah, you have a lot of content, but I think it's good that you continue to coach, and I really wouldn't like downplay it because there's so many people in the StarCraft community that do not teach,
Yeah.
and there's so many people that want that. It's like insane.
I can't tell you how many emails I get when I'm actively doing bronze gym. I like when I say I do 4 lessons a month. When I'm doing bronze gym, I probably get like 30 emails, a week or like every like 2 weeks, being like, "Hey, so I'm looking up my game and I like your bronze gym content, but I was thinking about a more personal one-on-one session to make me go a little faster." Like a lot of people get really interested when I do bronze gym, which is sick.
Yeah, I mean, that's what actually drew me. I mean, I always knew who you were, but that's what actually drew me to like really watch you and see, are are you actually skilled at this game or not?
Yeah. I'm just spewing a bunch of bullshit. Yeah, so you should probably do that. Check it out, guys. I'm like just fighting a silver player. See, it works every time.
Yeah. Well, I think like you possess a skill set also, I think, when it comes to like specifically the StarCraft community that is rare, which is your ability to articulate while you're doing it. The only other person I've ever seen or known to do that was Nero, who I interviewed before. And but you, in my opinion, you are very tactical. Your mind is running like 1,000 RPMs, and you have, so like what a lot of people don't realize when they watch you is like at any one time you'll have 3 things that you'll prepare for, in the sense of like, if they do this, I'm going to do this, this, or this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a high level thought process, I think, because that game, like StarCraft, is one of those games where it's just like people don't realize how hard it is to play at a competitive level and then to stay competitive.
Yeah. It's definitely a grind. Big grind.
Exactly. So if you had like tips to like little baby streamers that were like, I want to be a pro, what would you say that they do?
If you want to be a pro, I would say what you need to do is you need to just kind of what I said earlier. We just need to get in there and get experience under your belt. And at the bare minimum of what you should do is try to get in touch with people who are better than you, whether it be friends of yours that actively play that might be better than you currently, or people who you'd run into on ladder that are better than you, and try to establish practice partners and like literally climb your way up. Because the best way you'll get better the fastest is if you play people who are consistently better than you.
Right.
If you don't do that, like this is probably the best way I explain it on my stream, because I get this question a lot. I say the more times you play against players that will allow you to make massive amounts of mistakes and win, the more your skill level will just be stagnant and you will not increase. Like you have to play people the less mistakes you can make to beat someone, the better of a player that the person will be for you to play against, because it'll teach you to not make mistakes, because if you do, you lose. So yeah, you have to just like condition yourself with good practice as much as you can. And everyone hits that brick wall at some point where they're like, I can't increase, my MMR is stuck. Oh my God, I can't get any better now. you can totally. You just have to play people that are better than you, not worse than you, or else you will not get better.
100% agree. You have to push yourself in order to become better. So,
yeah.
And do you go to any events usually?
Nowadays, I just go to like BlizzCon, sometimes TwitchCon, but it's 1 or 2 events a year for me now. Honestly, I have a background where I used to be a competitor, and a little bit of me dies inside when I go to an event just to watch it. And I'm like, oh, I can't play. I just gotta watch everyone else do what I used to do. Yeah.
But so why don't you just compete? Like train yourself.
Because it like I'm a super competitive person, and I'm not gonna settle to be like, I got top 64. Yeah, boy. Like the amount of time you have to invest to like compete with people that are actively like top 8s all the time. I would have to kind of cut back on my streaming. I'd have to cut back on my social life. Everything would have to be kind of like just falling at the wayside and just be like, all right, I'm zoning in on being a pro again, and this is what I'm doing. And I just don't. I don't know. I don't really want to commit to that again.
Okay. So that just sounds like commitment issues.
Dude, it's like you have to seriously sacrifice so much to be a good pro, especially at this stage. Because one thing about games is the more established a game is, the longer it's out, the less a game is in the learning stage, and it's more in the refining stage. And when it's not in the learning stage, the grind required goes up. Like you just like, it's like, okay, he's doing the same build I'm doing. We're both going burrow roaches like every fucking game. So that's what we're doing, because it's the most efficient way to do this. But who's going to have the more efficient use of that? Because you grinded, 10 hours a day every day to be like, all right, my burrow roaches are sick. Like I'm so good at this.
Yeah.
It's just a grind.
It's true. I mean, I think what would be interesting, when a lot of StarCraft people become or go down that path of, I'm going to commit to this tournament. I think it'd be interesting for people to like see what no talking, straight focus, like practice looks like.
It's boring, honestly.
Well,
You'd be bored.
Well, you never know. You never know. There has to be like a niche group of people that are like, I hate listening to streamers talk. I just want to watch them play.
Here, I'll give you an example, okay? If anyone who's curious about what this would be like, I played, and anyone who remembers a Terran named QXC, he was preparing for a tournament, and in his match, he had to play, like in his match for the day, he had to play a Zerg player. He messaged me, and he went, hey, Vibe, would you mind helping me prepare for this match I'm doing? I have to play Zerg, and I want to try some builds out on you. When he said some builds, it was a total lie. He wanted to try a build out on me. For like 3 hours, I got proxy bunker rushed over and over and over. And I was like, God damn, again. And it was literally like, it was like 20 games of bunker rush. And it was not the most fun thing, because like a lot of the games played out the exact same way. It was like, okay, he found an abusive spot. He's abusing it. I'm dead. He found an abusive. It's the same exact abusive spot. Again. I'm dead. Like, okay, it works a lot, so it's consistent. Okay, I'm happy.
So you were just a punching bag, basically.
Exactly. It's like I found something abusive, and I want to make sure it really is.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, and then what do you think about like just because I think this is an interesting thing, what do you think about the way the game is like currently played?
I think it's good. Like I think there are set ways that most people will think are efficient. Like it's like, okay, this is probably the most optimal way to get things done. It's rare when someone brings out something new, honestly. It is not easy to execute a new counter meta build and have it just break the meta. That's why most people don't do it. Most people will excel when they repeat one build thousands of times, because what will happen is you will get so good at that build that if your opponents try to do something to you that is counter meta, where it's like, oh, he's doing some weird shit, but I've prepared so well that I've seen people do something like this before. It's not like the first time I've seen it. I'm gonna crush it because I'm so much more experienced in my build than he is in his. Like his experience in this is not as big as mine is with what I'm doing, because mine is so repetitive. So you get into this cycle where you feel like your best chances are super meta builds, like just like the most common things. So that's what everyone mostly does.
So what do you think of someone like Cyril, who has basically been touted some kind of god?
I can tell you why he's good. I can tell you why he's good.
Yeah, okay. Let's hear it, but
He has the ability to multitask for a longer pace than everyone else can. Like he can multitask at a high level let's just for an example, let's say he can do it for 10 minutes and your average pro can only do it for 7. Like that is his level. And the reason why you can see that in how he plays is because a lot of people will scout actively for the first 5 minutes of the game. He will never stop. You're like, oh my God, he found it again. Okay, he found it. He never gets surprised. It's like, hey, fuck. He just always is like actively doing that shit. And he's able to do that while not sacrificing other aspects of how he plays. It's insane. Like no one can really it's very rare to see someone play like that.
mm-hmm.
He's always able to like maintain multitasking longer. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Because you'll see games where people will be like, this is a really good game and this guy's doing this and it's really good and this guy's doing that, it's really good. But when you're in the middle of the game, it's so hard to actively see every dark spot and be like, oh, okay, I know exactly what you're doing all the time. But he always figures it out. It's like you'll see, like, here's an example, okay? It's like 17 minutes and 32 seconds. And a Zergling runs around the side of the map and it sees a command center starting and this like proxy spot where it's like, okay, it's off to the side. And he just sees it when the command center is like 13 seconds into being built. And you're like, okay, he found it right away. You can just go deny that right now and it's over. Like most people are like, oh shit, it's done and like 10 mules have been dropped on it and now I gotta go kill that.
Right.
And it's like, because you're like, you have so much things you're doing as well at the same time. He just always knows because he always scouts. It's crazy.
Yeah, so what do you think about like your future? Like what do you want to do? Do you just want to keep doing what you're doing? Do you want to create different content? What do you want to do?
For me, there is no game on Twitch that takes priority for me over StarCraft. I actually love streaming this game. And I also love streaming like Warcraft 3. I like a game that I can play with a group or by myself and enjoy it every day. And I cannot say that about a lot of games. Like if I had to do every day, I'd be like, if I was like playing PUBG or Apex or something like that, I could have fun for a while, but then I'd be like always queuing in with like randoms all the time. And I'd be like, all right, I don't really want to do this as much. I'd rather play StarCraft or something, but I just want to get a game like StarCraft that I can play like for the reasons I just said, that I can make a living off of. And I can just, it's not just the fact that I'm like trying to settle for a living. I obviously want to grow my brand, but I want to enjoy what I'm doing at the same time. I never ever want to sacrifice and try to gain numbers by hating myself and being like, fucking hate streaming. I hate hitting go live, but I make more money doing it this way. So let's do it this way.
Well, at least you built a brand around a game that you love. So a lot of streamers can't say that. And I think what I find most disingenuous is like when people do play a game that they don't really like, but like Fortnite, for example, it's like you don't really like playing Fortnite. Halo is a much better game. You know it is. It's way cooler. But you're settling for Fortnite because, you know, that's how, you know, people watch the viewership, you know, of like this particular game. So,
because I feel like this is something I want to say here. It's for me, I think if I'm really passionate about a game, I will always push myself to be one of the best players who play it. And I think my brand is associated with being high level gameplay with commentary involved with that. So if I'm able to accomplish that in a game that I'm playing, my stream will be successful.
Yeah.
And if I'm not passionate about a game and I'm like not interested, I will not put in the time to at all. I'll just be like, no, I'm not going to play anymore. I'm good.
So, yeah. Well, Five, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast and letting me pick your brain for an hour or so.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. It was good. I had a good conversation.
Yeah, I hope you did. And thank you for like sharing your story and how you became popular on Twitch and your whole past of being a pro gamer. That's incredible. Like I said, you don't meet that many people on Twitch that can actually claim that. And streaming as long as you have, that's insanity. There's literally no pro gamer. They all fall to the wayside. They do. Like I've known so many pro gamers that like they're like, I'm going to stream, and it's like 3 months go by and they're like, I'm not doing that anymore.
I 100%. I've met many people like that too. I've even had people ask me advice like that. I'm like, oh yeah, sure. You know, this is what I think you should probably do. And they're really hyped about it. And like weeks go by and they're like, man, this sucks. I'm not really getting what I want. Like, well, it's a good, you just got to be patient.
Yeah.
And then, like, you know what? I'm done.
Exactly.
It does happen a lot.
Yeah, but thank you again for sharing your story.
What's going on, guys? Thank you for watching this video. If you want to watch more videos like this, click somewhere around here and click for the next video. If you like this content, please click subscribe or give it a thumbs up or both. Or don't. I honestly don't care because guess what? I'm gonna make the videos anyways. Peace.